Fit. There we go. Monsters and shit, all about that. I'm disgusting.
Disgusting.
Are you ready? Oh,
I've got a song stuck in my head, I don't know what it is.
hello and welcome to Uphill From Here.
This is Catherine.
And this is Amy. And we're in whichever episode we're in. So I can't remember.
It's
We're
October.
trying.
We started in July.
July.
So going strong. We're going strong.
Yeah. Amy started a new job. I have a job.
Things are happening.
Things might start to fall apart. Who knows?
That's my life. They usually do. So, Catherine, what is our word of the week this week?
Word of the week this week is mother. So we are talking about what that word means to us. And we also have a very special guest on that I'm very excited about, that you will get to meet later on in the episode.
Before we get started, we just wanted to give a little mention, as it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
We just wanted to say, because obviously this week we're talking about mothers, breast cancer is something that affects women in later life, but also affects women of our age as well. 1 in 8 women in the UK will be affected by breast cancer in their lifetime, and 400 men are diagnosed every year. And there's been statistics found recently that more than half of young women are unsure about checking their own boobs and getting to know their own body. We just wanted to say, like, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's really important. No matter what age you are, you should be checking now, just to get to know what's right for you, what's different for you. And if you're unsure about anything, just go to the doctors. There is no harm in it. They will check for you and they'll put your mind at rest.
Yeah, there's plenty of information online as well if you don't feel comfortable speaking to your doctor. So we will put some information in our little bio as well, and we will be posting about it on social media. But this is just a little reminder for you right now. Pause the podcast and have a little.
Go check your boobs. Go.
A little. Yeah, so that was just a little PSA. We just wanted to make a little special announcement just to raise some awareness for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And anyways, on with the show. Who is first this week?
Me, I think. Mothers,
Okay.
aren't we? In the third episode.
Okay. I love who your letter's addressed to. Okay. To whoever wanted to know, mother to me is a best friend, someone to confide in, someone to answer all the questions you've ever had, someone who does their best to provide you with the knowledge to be kind and respectful. Mother to me is someone who, when you gain the independence you so desperately wanted, was right about everything. Mother to me is someone who teaches you to stand your ground and not fall into the things that everyone else is doing around you. Mother is someone who makes you feel good when you don't feel good about yourself. Mother is someone who takes the people closest to you under their wing. Mother to me is someone who embarrasses you just enough to grow a thick enough skin to laugh at yourself. Mother is someone that you go to for everything. When or if that word ever applies to me, I hope it can be half of what she is. I think in later life that word will apply to me. I think about it, after all, I am a woman. But it's not right now, and it's not anytime soon. Mother is personal and can't be dictated by others. You can change your mind about mother. It is not set in stone. If you once mentioned you might like it. Mother is something you can choose. It is to me anyway. Love, Cat. The interesting thing to me, and this isn't just you that said this as well, but the first thing you said is a mother to you is a best friend. And I see a lot about this online about your mum being your best friend. And that isn't the case for me. It's always been a very clear, I'm your mum, I'm not your friend, kind of like respect relationship there. So I wondered when that change happened. Has that always been something since you were young you've thought she was your best friend, or is it recently that's happened?
I think probably as I came into teenage years, maybe 14, 15, we came to the end of secondary school and into kind of college, sixth form age. I think that's when it changed for me, because I had a lot of respect for her when I was young, and it was very much, you're my mum and you tell me what to do, and you give me that kind of, not authority figure, because she's not particularly authoritative, even though she did have that kind of, that presence when she needed to. But I think it changed when I was maybe about 14, 15, definitely.
And do you think, how has your relationship changed now? Because we spoke very early on in podcast days about moving back home with our parents as adults. So we have moved out and grown up and become our own people. And then you've moved back in and you're now cohabitating with your mum as an adult. So how has your relationship changed during lockdown?
I think we've got closer. We were close anyway, but it's kind of like, we didn't particularly have any like difficult moments during lockdown, I don't think, where it was kind of like we got frustrated with each other or anything like that. So I think it's pretty much just stayed the same. It's just been really kind of valuable time that we hadn't had for the last 4 years because I'd been away. So it was just kind of catching up on that and enjoying each other's company, really.
That's really lovely. Having like met obviously your mum as well, that you are quite similar natured.
Yes.
And I wonder, like, growing up and becoming a woman, what parts of you do you notice that, because I do it, I'll sometimes say something or I'll do something, I'll be like, oh my god, I sound just like my mum. So I wonder when, like, what parts of you recognise as parts of her as well.
Nearly everything. Nearly everything. In the way that I talk to people, I see my mum. My mum's very understanding. She's very much kind of tries to gain everybody else's perspective before making a judgment. And she's very kind of calm and quite mellow most of the time, which is kind of very much like me as well. We've like you say, we've got a similar temperament in that respect. I think I inherited my reservedness from her, and she always blames herself for that. She always kind of, because me and my sister are quite similar in that we're never the loudest in the room, we never push ourselves forward, we just do, and we just are who we are. And she always like, oh, that's my fault. And I'm like, why is that your fault? I'm like, I don't want to be the center of attention. I just want to be me and kind of just, say what I want to say if I want to say it. And I think she blames herself for that, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Do you think that puts like a pressure as a mother, knowing that you're imprinting on a tiny person maybe what they're going to be like as an adult, and you are having that kind of massive impact on their life? Do you think that puts like a huge pressure to, like, I have to teach her the good parts of me and not show them that, like, do you know what I mean? Like, having that young impressionable child and you get to make that what that is.
Yeah, I think it's become more of a pressure now because of the awareness in the world. There's so much awareness. We're raising so much awareness about everything that everybody's so aware of everything that they're like, oh God, there's so much stress about what I need to do. And it's like, our parents weren't worrying about that.
If you think about it, like, I feel like, especially with where I live now, like, there's this like massive yummy mummy culture, and it's like, what diet are you bringing them up on, and what classes are they taking? And it's like, they're two. These are all huge choices that you make, not just as a mother but as a parent. But for us, that was just based around like a simple upbringing. And I think maybe now with like future generations that is changing because people are so aware of the vast amount of choices you have as a parent, down to like birthing, down to schools you go to, classes, diet. Like, there's so much to think about. Whereas I think, like, with our parents, we're just like, well, let's try not to drop her on her head. Like, it turned out okay.
Yeah, exactly. And let's try and make sure she eats some sort of vegetables at some point in her life. And I think, like I say, this is not me bashing anyone that chooses to bring their child up, whichever they choose to bring their child up, because, like I say, parenthood and being a mother is a choice, and you make all those choices. It's personal. It's a very personal thing, and nobody can tell you how to do it.
So you said about obviously your mum's like taking people under her wing, and she's there whatever you need, you can go to her, and she has given you that knowledge and things. And I just wonder, like, thinking about what that must be like, putting yourself in her shoes, do you think that becoming a mother and being that go-to person for someone takes a certain amount of personal sacrifice? Bit heavy. But do you think becoming a mother does come with a sacrifice?
I don't know.
Mm.
It's never been something that we've spoken about. But to her, that's what you do.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It's always what she said to me when I've said, does it weird you out if I ask you this? Or is it, you know, is it not, like, should I be doing something else? And she's like, that's what I do. It's what you do. When you have children, that's what you do. But all of the things that I rely on her for, to her, is like, that's why I'm a mum.
Yeah.
And I think I've had this conversation with people before, and I kind of wanted to bring it up for anyone that feels like it's weird. I asked my mum when I was a teenager about sex openly.
Oh yeah.
I would ask her questions about it. What does this mean? Why has someone said this? I don't get that. What happens? What's this? And she would answer perfectly. And people who I was friends with was like, that's dead weird. Like, what does she say? Is it not dead awkward for you? And I'm like, this is a woman that I know for sure has had these experiences. Why would I not ask her? Why would I ask the 15-year-olds who probably haven't ever done it, who have heard about it on the internet, rather than the person who actually has the experience that could probably give me an honest answer?
It's just about learning to set boundaries, learning to get to know, like, about sex and about your body. And I think the sooner we normalize those conversations, the sooner the girls, young women, will feel empowered to claim their own bodies. They know about their bodies, they know what they like, they know what they don't like, they know what they're comfortable with. And as soon as women can start claiming their own bodies, the sooner other people will stop claiming them for them. And
Absolutely.
I think same thing with what we were talking about. Like, if you're like, Mum, how do you check your boobs? How do I know? When should I go for a mammogram? What's a smear test like? Have these conversations with your mum, your mother figure, other women around you.
I really hope that I have a relationship with the kids that I have with my mum.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
Nothing's off the table. You can talk about it.
And I can't remember how it came about that I felt so comfortable asking my mum. It just happened. So it's just that thing of like, it's just the way that she was. It was just the fact that I was like, I can ask this question and it's okay.
I think, I think because obviously we're both lucky to still have our mums in our lives and have like good relationships with them. Just acknowledge the people that maybe don't have a mum in their life. But I think for both of us, I think it's been important to have a network of strong, supportive, inspiring women. And I think as young women growing up, that's important, whether that's your biological mum or a mother figure or friends or just having or teachers, like having that supportive network of women helping you figure out your choices as a woman and values and having that role model to look up to is like super important. But that's no matter, regardless of age, you want to have that good group of women around you and supporting you.
Absolutely. Shall I read your letter?
Yeah. So my letter is actually something I wrote in second year of uni. We really interestingly, we were studying Medea in classics. For anyone that knows Medea, this seems really odd, but basically we were asked to like choose a theme in Medea and write a written response. And everyone wrote like murder and revenge and like mental torment. And I was like, I'm going to talk about motherhood. So this was my written response that I kind of carried through all of my kind of work in my final year of uni as well.
So Amy said, as women, our first role models are usually our mothers. And so when we decide to have our own children, and that is a decision, not an obligation, our own domestic experience has an impact on our choices as parents. My mother, rather than trying to emulate her upbringing, strived to learn from her own parents' mistakes. My mother tried hard not to become a reflection of her own upbringing. With absent father and sharp-tongued mother, she became my mum, who gave up work to ensure she was always there for me and my sister, supportive and committed to the family she had created. My mum taught me to be patient and forgiving, whilst protecting myself against those who may hurt me. She taught me the power of faith, something we may not see eye to eye on, but strength I have always admired about her. She gave me the ability to speak my mind with honesty and integrity, whilst also knowing when to listen and understand what others had to say. More importantly, she taught me not to care what others think. Life's too short, she would say. She taught me that you are only as old as you feel. For her, that's about the same age as me. To dance in the street, to dress up in fancy dress, and that talking to yourself didn't make you mad at all. She told me about the birds and the bees, or rather threw a book at me and told me which chapters to avoid. She also taught me that as much as I tried, I couldn't, in fact, knit like her. The most important thing my mum could have taught me, though, is the ability to stand on my own 2 feet. After going through a bit of a tough time at the end of last year, I phoned her crying for some motherly advice. Despite being shell-shocked that I actually remembered who she was, she gave me some of the hardest but best advice she could have given me. Time to put your big girl pants on, Amy, she said, and so I did. My mum showed me how to be a strong woman. I didn't need to man up, I needed to woman up. She continued to be a great example of a mother and a woman. She could tackle a herd of bullies when needed, and she has, but a film like P.S. I Love You will turn her into a blubbering wreck. She's taught me to be whatever woman I want to be, a mix of collected and crazy, sensitive and strong, to redefine what the words woman and mother mean. When I become a mother, I hope to be a role model for my own children as my mum has been to me. I hope in a world of division and ignorance to teach them the power of knowledge, equality and acceptance. I hope that my daughters will not feel as at a disadvantage to my sons and to teach them that their voice matters just as much. I hope to one day look back and be proud of all of my children, not simply because they are a product of my upbringing, but because they have the capacity to become the best versions of themselves all on their own. When I become a mother, I hope to be a mother my own would be proud of and one that my children would like to learn from. I love that. I love it all. So firstly, and I think this is the one that viewers will want to know, which chapters did she tell you to avoid in the book that she threw at you?
You know, I think I went back. I remember her, like, it was called the puberty book. This is when I had just had my first period, and the book was on everything from your downstairs, your periods, sex, sexual health, whatever. And obviously I was 10, 11 when I got my first period, so I was young, like I wasn't ready.
Yeah, you were young.
But like the book covered everything, it was general, so she just said avoid this chapter. And I think I went back when I was like in my teen, I think it was like oral sex or something. She did not want me to know about fellatio. That was off the cards for an 11-year-old.
You mentioned about your mum when you called her last year and she said, put your big girl pants on, Amy. And kind of, I'd like to know what that meant to you and like what, you know, in that time, what that made you think, where you needed to go. But also, what did you think your mum meant by that?
Sometimes you need someone that when you're just at your lowest and you're on the ground to come and just sit next to you and feel shit with you. And sometimes you need someone to take your hand and yank you back up on your feet and be like, well, no, we're not being sad anymore. We're getting on with it. You're not going to wallow anymore.
Drag you kicking and screaming into feeling better again.
And sometimes both are just equally as appreciated, and sometimes it's probably more difficult to give tough love, but sometimes that shows that you care even more.
So you spoke about obviously a lot of things that you've gained from your mum and a lot of things that you've learned from her and a lot of things that she's taught you, but what's one of your favourite things about your mum now that you are in your 20s and you've kind of grown up, like your rebellious teenage years where she's trying to, you know, get you to do things that you don't want to do? What's your favourite thing now about your mum?
I think even through difficult times with her health and things, she's still constantly been doing things for other people. And she's constantly thinking about like how that's going to impact other people and what she can do just to like doing little things like making someone a hat. Like she knows that she can't solve anyone's major life problems. She can't cure cancer. She can't make someone's depression go away. But she can sure as hell knit them a hat and make them feel better. Like,
she can help. She can make some sort of difference.
She's just doing like a little bit to make a difference and just doing it quietly and very humbly. And I think that's a nice way to live. Yeah.
I think something that I admire about your mum that I've kind of learned is that she's just, like you say, she just doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks about her. It's like if she's gonna dress up in this costume and do what she wants to do, she's gonna do it. If she wants to recreate her anniversary photos, like her wedding photos for her anniversary, she's gonna do it. And it's like, I love that she's just so fearless.
She was resilient. She went through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And now she's like, you know what? I'm a grown-ass woman and I'm going to do what makes me happy. I just wanted to touch on, obviously we have both kind of come at it from wanting children. I know you've kind of thought about it. I definitely, it's the only thing I've wanted for as long as I've known, like, is to be a mum. That's very important to me. But like I mentioned in my letter, I just want to like point out that, like, obviously being a mother doesn't go hand in hand sometimes with being a woman. I don't think every woman wants children or has to feel obligated to have children to be fulfilled in life. Like I say, it's a choice, it's not an obligation. And like, it just reminded me this morning, I was thinking when I was traveling, I had a conversation with this girl, and I actually learned a lot from it, because I said something really stupid that I regret saying. She basically was talking about how she never wanted children. And I was like, oh, but like, you just change your mind. Like, what if you change your mind when you're older? Without even thinking. And she turned around and she said to me, she's like, it's funny that no one ever says that to you when you say you want children. It's only when a woman says, I don't want children, that they automatically go, oh, you'll change your mind. And it just made me think, like, it's like almost like thought of as, of course you will. That's what women are here for. And of course that's a natural thought for you. And for some women it's not, and that's fine.
Yeah. When people say it's not a natural thought for women, it is a natural thought for women. Whether that thought for women is I want children or I don't, you always think about it. You will always think about it. There will always be a thought about motherhood, whether you want it or you don't. It's always in there, because that's what your body is made to do. So your body starts going, do we want this? Is this the thing that we want? No? Okay.
Logically, yeah.
And I think we can't fight that, and I don't think we can kind of, I don't think we can deny it as women, that even if you make the choice not to, and you're kind of quite adamant on that you have actually thought about it, because you have to think about it in order to decide that you don't want it.
That's true. So our guest this week, on the topic of motherhood and mothers, is my mother, Pam. So I'm not watching this, so I don't know what the hell she said, so brace yourselves. But this is this is her response to the word motherhood.
Dear Kat and Amy, this COVID pandemic has been dreadful, but one positive I feel that has come out of it is a newfound respect for full-time parents. Parents have had to spend months at home with their children, and many have discovered that it's not as easy as they had imagined. I was a stay-at-home mother by choice. It was a decision my husband and I made, and I was happy to take it. However, over the years, I've often had some official or other ask me my occupation. When I've answered with full-time mum, this has been met with a wry smile and was almost seen as a joke. So, this is my response. A full-time mum. No weekly wage, no pension pot, no annual leave for me. A commitment, life investment, with not a single guarantee. Over the years, the smirks, the jeers. Full-time mum, what's that about? That isn't even a proper job. This at times you'll even doubt. Yet I was there to support and care, to discipline, to praise. Life as me just ceased to be. Their needs consumed my days. Organisation, education, life standards instilled. Yet, folks ask if giving up my job is something I regret. A daily routine that went unseen, being my own boss. And now a bond that goes beyond any financial loss. There's very few that can now pursue full-time parenting by choice. But I just wanted to give a shout to those who feel they have no voice. So to all the full-time mothers, from that moment you give birth, don't let yourself or anyone else question your value or worth. Love, Pam. Amy's mom.
Oh shit. That's so emotional. Oh my god, are you crying? Every week.
Oh.
And you know what she'd tell you to do right now? Stop crying and put your big girl back. I said, are you going to make it a poem? Because Mum's always written poetry, and that's where I get that from, and I've always written poetry with her. And I knew she was going to make it rhyme.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I want to ask you first because she's your mum. Like,
yeah.
How was that?
I thought that was obviously really interesting. She made that choice. And like we were saying earlier when I talked about your mum, like, do you think that mums sacrifice a lot? And like you said, like, for a mum, that's just what you do. A lot of people think that's just, you just do what your child needs and you do what you think's best. And again, that was her choice. And I feel very fortunate to have had a stay-at-home mum, because I know nowadays that's very rare. To have that mother figure and have a parent at home all the time. Financially, it's just not possible for most people. For our generation, I don't think it would be for the very few it'll be possible.
And I remember somebody mentioning the other day about a parent who was saying, you know, oh, it's just so difficult being at home with them all the time. And my mum was like, I would have given anything to be able to spend time at home with my children. Yeah. But something that I thought was interesting from my experience of that is, like you say, like your mum said about how people turn their nose up at full-time mum. But why is it that these women who turn their noses up at full-time mums are happily prepared to pay somebody to do that job for them?
My mum could have made the choice that she could have paid for a childminder. She could have trained in whatever. She could have earned a lot more money, but she made that choice. She wanted to be there for me. You know, every day, this is what I remember. I'd come home from school. It makes me quite emotional. I'd come home from school and there'd be a change of clothes and always a pair of socks on the radiator. Every day I come home from school when it was raining, when it was cold, I'd come home and there'd be a fresh pair of warm socks in the radiator and things like that. You can't put a monetary value on that care and that love and that sacrifice that she has made as a mother. And I respect that so much, because like you say, you make that choice. You could have made the choice to go back to work and earn the money, but to me, having that pair of socks was worth far more than any toy or any nice holiday we could have afforded if we'd had two incomes. I'm really passionate about the fact that women should not have to choose between being a mother and having a career. I want both, and I think as a woman I have a right to. I should be able to have both.
It's possible. Because there will always be childminders. There will always be nurseries. That's somebody else's income. That is how some people end up looking after their kids. And now it's so nice to see workplaces putting in things like creches in workplaces and making it possible for mums and parents generally, men as well, dads, to have their child taken care of but not be that far away from them and be able to have that connection still whilst they're able to work.
They never ask the men how they juggle their work and family life. It's always, how did you juggle like filming that whilst also having that baby?
Yeah.
Because I'm not just defined by the fact I have a child. It's part of my life. I'm a mother, but I'm also a successful actress or whatever I do. I think it doesn't define you. It doesn't need to be the only thing you do.
It's like, you know, why are we still stuck in that idea that men work, women mother? Like, no. That's not how it works. That's not how it works anymore. That's not how families work anymore.
The fact that, like, it kind of annoys me, like, who the hell was turning their nose up at my mom? Like, I want to have work outside. Like, I think whoever's turning their nose up, especially like what we kind of presume was other women, other parents judging someone's parent choice. Let's not judge other women what they decide to do or not do with their bodies and their families and their kids. Let's just not judge them. Let's just support them. Let's just support other women, please, in their choices to be or not be a mother.
just let people live. Let people live. Just let people live. Like,
Don't be a dick.
don't be a dick.
So I feel like this has been a really great episode. We've had a lot to talk about, and obviously thank you very much to my lovely mum for her lovely poem. Of course she did. It was lovely. If you want to try and follow that, how can people get in touch?
If you want to get in touch and follow on from Pam being our guest, but you know, nobody can follow that, so then you can get in touch with us via the Instagram. We're at Uphill From Here Podcast, and through the email uphillfromherepodcast@gmail.com. We're really loving hearing from you guys, and we've got some really exciting episodes coming up, so get in touch if you want to be involved.
We want to hear all your things, all that good stuff. It doesn't have to rhyme. So thank you very much for watching. It's been a lovely episode. I feel really warm and squishy, and I hope you do too, and we'll see you very soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Having babies is messy in all regards. Like,
Yeah.
physically, mentally, emotionally.
You were born in an ambulance.
No, I was born in my house.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool. Just don't drop your child on its head because it'll become a serial killer. Hell yes, I'll be your doula. Rishi Sunak says I should retrain, so maybe I should retrain as a birthing partner. If anyone needs a birthing partner, hi.
Hitting me up.
That's all. To be fair, I do want my baby pressure washed. Like, I don't want to hold it when it's got that gun got it. Are you adopted? I'm not, I swear.
No.
That wasn't in the book.
No.